Pretty soon after I started quilting, I was introduced to the rotary cutter, and it dramatically changed my entire world. It's changed the quilting industry for almost every quilter that is out there today. Westerly Design, when they designed the ruler foot, they dramatically have changed that way quilters are quilting. Long armers have had rulers for a long time, but our domestic quilters were at a disadvantage. We've never had those amazing products that could advance our skills. I have so many people say that I can't free motion, that I don't know how to do it, that I'm no good at it. Ruler work is not free motion, it's guided motion. I already know where I'm going, and all I have to focus on is just keeping the foot attached to the ruler until I'm at the end of the line. So it's really a big advancement, helping people to make their quilts as beautiful as they want and really changing the level of skill that our domestic quilters are going to see.
Welcome. It is Tuesday evening, and we are here again to have some fun. Hi, Deanna. She is here, and Monica from Durand, Illinois. Linda, my Michigander buddy, and the other Linda, my friend from New York. Lisa from Sugarland, Texas, and Marcia is here from North Carolina. And I'm sure when I look at this list, most of you probably have less snow and cold than we do. We know Kelly does. She says another hot day in Arizona. Isn't that something? You guys get it first, always. Carla, hi from Oklahoma City, and Cactus Deb from Glendale, Arizona. You are here. Betty from Oregon, welcome, welcome. So nice to see you here. We're going to have some fun tonight. I know that we're going to do one of our regular template sets, but I think I want to shake it up just a bit, okay? Hi, Karen from Colorado. How are you tonight? I hope you're doing well. So let's take a look at where we're going to start. We are going to start here with the background fills, and these are the 2-inch, and this is the set by Donnell McAdams. So we're going to show you a little bit there, and then we're going to take it up a notch after that. Okay. Hi, Tammy and Diane is here from Queensland, and it is morning, and they are coming into fall as we are coming into spring. So let's take a look, and we'll have Ken keep an eye out for you all and see if we've got any comments or anything going on. This particular background fills set has 4 different templates to it. If we look on the back, each one is 2 inches. And this one is called the Rounded Diamond. It's a very pretty one. I really like this one. If I don't have it, I don't have a favorite, but if I did, it would be this one. Then we have the pointed oval. And can you guess? I've used this before from the number of arrows on there. Make sure you can see it better. And then we have just the regular oval, and we have the circle. So let's go ahead and start with the one that would be my favorite if I had a favorite. Okay. We're going to set these aside. And what I want you to see is how convenient Donnell has made this template for us. What we have going on here first is we have a foot channel. I'm going to call it a foot channel. I don't know if that's the exact name for it or not, but it's what I want to call it. Then we've got a needle channel here, and then here is our design. And this one is, of course, the rounded diamond. So what these are is these each are a 1/2 inch apart. So we can easily make sure that when we're going from one motif to another with our straight line, we can line it up and always be on the same measurement. So let me show you how that works, okay? And I do have my practice quilt here. And hi, Rita. How are you from Northern Victoria, Australia? And Sandy's here from probably warmer than we are, Tampa, right? Okay. Lydia's here. Awesome. And unusually warm Utah. Maybe we could talk her into sending some of that up here, right, Ken? It would be nice. So what I'm going to do here is I have just drawn my lines out here. I'm just going to grab my ruler. And I think I drew them all out the same. Yep, I did. I did. It was a week ago. I forgot. And I do have just one straight line here. And then I have a line 1.5 inches up on alternating lines. Okay. And the reason I did that is so that we could do stagger the designs as well. That does look nice too. So what I'm going to do is I am going to first get my foot in here. And what I want to do is turn this around so you can see it easily. I'm going to take a quick look over here and maybe make a little bit of a modification there. There we go. I'm going to pull my thread up on what is my pretend seam line. And I like to call it my pretend seam line because it isn't my real one. Okay, that thread, bobbin thread, did not come up. Can anybody guess why? I'll give you a hint. I didn't set my foot. It was too high. And when our foot is too high, it will not complete a stitch or pull up the bobbin thread. That's how we complete our stitches. So there we go. We're back in business. So if I want to go further than this 1.5 inch mark that I arbitrarily drew on here, here's 1/2 inch, here's 1 inch, and 1.5 inches, and there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and line up there and get my shoe off. Take that one stitch in place. And what's nice about this foot guide is it's just big enough to allow you to pass through without getting caught up on it. But you really almost can't wiggle it and make a wiggly line. You're always going to have a straight line. And there we go. Hi, Jean. Nice to see you from Mount Vernon, Washington. Awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my curvy diamond, at least I think that's what it was called, in here. And I'm going to come around it 1.5 times because I do want to end up at the top. And this is the same whether you go from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top. We're going to make those stitches a little bit on the short side. And we want to do that because it is a curve and it will help our curve look a little smoother. And I'm going to go ahead and there we go. I may have to lift that foot up again, but it looked like it was getting up there kind of high and it was going to skip some stitches. And there we go. Now I can go ahead and pull this back down. And again, here's 1/2. There is 1 inch, and here's 1.5. So if I go ahead and put my foot so that my needle is lined up on the 1.5 inch mark, and we're going to have a great big seam allowance here to deal with. I'm also lining up my center line up here. Okay, just going to push that back a tiny bit. So here we go. I know we're going to get stopped, and that's right there. We got stopped. Now I have to go ahead and let my foot rise up. I'm not pushing my foot up and I'm not pushing my foot down. I'm letting my foot decide exactly where it wants to be. Because when I loosen this screw to let that foot up, what happens is the foot's only going to go as high as the fabric. So because this is going to get thicker, oh, I guess it didn't get that much thicker. My foot is not stopping me. There we go. And we're going to stop right there. That's our 1.5 inches. I can go ahead and put my foot back down now because I've made it over that really hefty seam there. I'm going to line up the upper vertical line on my template, and you'll see I've got my staple tape right where I keep my hands. And I went on a clockwise rotation here. So I'm going to go counterclockwise. The reason that I'm doing that is so that the heavy side is constantly changing, and it won't be as noticeable when you do that. Here we come up on another seam allowance. Can we make it over? Yeah, we certainly can. I don't think we're going to make it over this one, no. And you can see why I say that. Do you see all of this bulging here? We don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen my foot and I'm going to let it find its own height. We're going to make it over the top of that seam allowance. And what's going to happen is we're going to have to adjust our foot again. Now remember, these adjustments are only for people with machines like mine that are old. If you've got a new machine, one of those fancy ones like Cactus Deb has, it'll adjust itself, I'm sure. Hi, hi, Joey. Good. Ronnie's here too. Ronnie from Northeast Arizona. How are you faring tonight, guys? Okay, so I didn't really have to take my foot and adjust it on the second time around on that one, on that seam allowance. On this seam allowance, I do. And the reason I didn't on this first seam allowance that I came over is because it was already smooshed down from going over it the first time. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get that down a little bit there. Shall we do one more? Yeah. Let's go ahead and remember 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches. Lining up that vertical center line. These lines are always so nice to have because they do keep us honest, as my husband would say, and keep us going in the right direction. So here we go. 1.5 inches again. Stop with your needle down. I have to lift my foot. If you have that pivot function on your machine, I think it's good to use it. Okay, so here we go. This time we're going to go to the right or clockwise and come around. And look at there, beautiful. These seams are being kind to me. I love it. And we're going to come back around and we're going to come up. I can hear that my machine needs that foot to come down a little bit. If I don't, I'm going to start skipping stitches, and I really don't want to do that. And we are back at the top. Now, I'm going to show you how we're going to start shaking things up a bit. Let's take a look what we've got here. Beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and take it out so you can see the back, because the back is going to show you a better view than the front. Oh, maybe not. I've got 80 weight fabric or 80 weight thread in the back. Oh, it's still going to show up nice. Okay. So here it is. That is our rounded diamond. Okay. And isn't that beautiful? That could be used, I mean, you could easily template this, or you could take a fabric and actually use it as an applique too. So there's a lot of different things we can do with this. And I'm going to show you one different thing we can do with it right now, okay? I was just sitting there thinking of all the ways we can make this different. And leave it to me to make things different, right? Okay.
Lori likes that template.
Yeah, good. Yeah, Joey, it's a nice template to use, isn't it? It's easy. Everything is right there for you. You really don't need a whole lot. Okay, I'm going to take our edge to edge out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top of the last curvy diamond here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my bobbin thread. Maybe you feel a little bit, mm, shall we say risky? Or is that risque? I'm not really sure. Uh, what I'm doing is I am coming in here and making sure that
What's the temp number, Joey?
oh, the template number is the edge to edge connector 1, and I am using the BS curve. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that when I get to the bottom, my foot comes right here with my needle on the designated line that I drew there. Okay, there we go. I may need to do some foot adjusting. Oh yeah, definitely. Now, when that happens, I've got my hands, 2 hands on that template because I do not want it flip-flopping around there. And we may have to make another one because we're coming up. Oh, no, we don't. Okay, there we go.
He says he has the edge to edge, was wondering about the teardrop.
Oh,
Joey.
Joey, this is, here, let me get this out. I thought you had the edge to edge. This is called the rounded diamond. That's the one I am using out of this set here. The set has 4 different templates, the pointed oval, the circle, the rounded diamond, and the oval. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the background fill back on, and we need to come up this way to the left because we came to the right last time. And guess what? I need to adjust my foot right off the bat here. Okay, there we go. It was going to send me off in a whole other direction, guys. Who knows where I would have ended up? Maybe in the Bermuda Triangle. Oh, there we go. Now we're doing that rounded diamond shape. Now let's talk about this because this is the last one I can put in. You can see that easily here. So I don't have to go around and do a double stitching on one side. However, Ken said, but yes. However, I do want to do that because I want it to be consistent with all of the other rounded diamonds that I have stitched. So here we go. I'm going to come to the top and I am going to stop there. I'll take my needle up, take and clip my threads off. And I've got some down here too. Boy, that 80 weight deco bob sure is some small thread. It's like dealing with a hair. Oh, goodness. Okay, so let's turn this over and you'll see what we got here. This kind of curvy, loopy kind of loop. Now, if I wanted to, I could have flipped. Let's do it. I could have flipped that template and made something really spectacular. So here we go. And I used the number one. I just picked up number two. There it is, number 1B. So now I'm going to go ahead and start here and come back down. Well, it doesn't matter. I can start at the bottom too. Okay. Now, if you were to do this, again, you would have that dilemma of stitching one side twice and the other side once. I call it a dilemma, but really, I don't see it that way. Okay, we're going to put this back in. I'm living dangerously here. I'm eyeballing it. Now, this way is a lot easier because we're falling off of the high points of these seam allowances. And off we go. Oh, I thought maybe we'd have to adjust right there, but we don't. And there we are. Let's take a look and see what we think about that one. I love doing weird things. What can I say? Okay, look at that. As opposed to the straight line. What a difference. How much more festive it makes it. So here's the straight line, and here's using one of our edge-to-edge connectors. So what else I wanted to show you is how we can stagger our motifs. And we'll call this part the motif, okay? Just so that we all know what we're talking about. I'm going to go ahead and use a different one this time. And okay. Susan says it's more interesting with two curved lines. Susan, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this guy away because we've used him already. So we want to do somebody we haven't done. How about the big circle? That's kind of a cool one, isn't it? Kind of reminds me of days gone by. All right. So what I'm going to do on the beginning here, I am going to start at the top and I am going to go up and around one time. Now, if I look at this last row that I did, actually it's a column, this last column, you'll notice I've got my heavy stitching over on this side. Does that show better over here? Yeah, it does. So here's my heavy stitching. This is my single stitching. This is my heavy stitching. One of the things that I like to pass along to you is that if you have one row of stitching here, two rows of stitching here, you're going to notice that. And that's why we alternate them. However, if you had two rows of stitching here and three rows of stitching here, your eye will not discern the difference. I know it sounds wacky, but it works. We did some experimenting with that, some of us and some of the instructors, and it works. Something to do with how many different layers of thread, 2 and 3 look discernible, where 1 to 2 is easily spotted by the eye. So what I call it is our eagle eyes. So I am going to start here. And because I did the heavy stitching on this column on the left side, this time I'm going to do it, my first one, also on the left side. Okay, there we go. And pull that out. Get everything lined up. I'm going to turn it around for you. I think it'll be easier to see. There we go. Line up here, line up down here. And I'm going to do the, okay, now I'm looking at it the opposite direction. I'm going to do the heavy one on this side. So I'm going counterclockwise and my foot sounds too high. That is one thing that I can't emphasize enough. Making sure that you know the sound of your machine. There we go. We come back around. Keeping those stitches short. And we're going to get right down to the bottom. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I'm going to put it back in, but just going to take it out right now. Okay. And the reason I'm going to take it out is because I want to measure up here. All I need to do is find my rope. There it is. And what I want to measure up here is 3 inches. That's not going to work exactly for the in between over here. If in order to do that, you would come up 1.5 inches and put your next motif. But because I want to do something a little different, we're going to come up, what did I say that was? 1, 2, 3. Yep. 3 inches. That's what it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to take out my 4.5-inch arc, or my 4-inch arc. I'm sorry. I'm going to hold my 4-inch arc here, use my spacing gauge, and here we go. And I should end up right at that little mark that I made there. And I did. What about that? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back around and we're going to do the opposite. And here we go. Now, if you like butterflies, we've started the body, right? Look at that. Isn't that the perfect butterfly body? But we're not actually doing a butterfly for this guy, okay? What we're going to do next is we are going to come up, well, we're going to have to put it down a little bit here and come up in the center just a few stitches. And my foot is loose. And I'm going to come back and move my template now. I am keeping my vertical center lined up there and here. And what I'm going to do is you see this area right here where I switch directions? If we put that right between this line, it's going to be a perfect stopping place for our foot. And our needle will end up right at the bottom of that. Okay, there we go. So now we'll go ahead and make another rotation. This time we're going to come clockwise. Okay. And we got, there we go. We're around it one time. We're going to go ahead and go around it 1/2 of a motif. Oh, short one stitch. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Again, I'm going to mark 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's going to be a tough spot right here, guys. Look at this. We're coming right in on that big old. So now what I want to do is, okay, I know what I want to do. That's not, but what I want to do isn't exactly in the plan here, okay? So I'm going to do this again. I really kind of like this. I did this and made a cool border too. There we go. Now, when we look at this, and I want to make sure you can see all of it, so I'm going to pull you over just a bit here. So when we look at this, if we really wanted to, we could do one in this direction and then do one in this direction. So our lines would be going from here up to here, from here, sorry, up to here. Or I really kind of like it the best the way that we've done it down here. But I want you to experiment and figure out what you like best and put that in there. Okay? So let's go ahead and come back over here. Make sure I'm all tightened up. And use my spacing gauge. There we go. I probably should have lifted my foot on that one. And I definitely need to lift it on this one because you can see what's happening here. There we go. Is there was a little break in the seam allowance there, and that was going to flip over. We don't want that. Okay. Going to come back up, but I'm going to do something a little different now. So I'm going to go ahead and come back up. And then we're going to have to move our template. No worries. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out one of my stars for my Starry Night. And you can use any template you want. And here we go. We're going to do the same thing. One side is going to have a double line. Okay, and I don't want it to be this side. I've got this really big hump right there. Let's get over that, guys. There we go. We did it. Yay. Don't forget to take one more stitch when you're in these points on your stars.
If you have these sets of little stamps,
Oh, honey, I've got 7 sets of stars. They're just all different stars.
you borrow mine if you want to.
I could borrow yours, yes. Okay, so I'm kind of glad this happened because I want to show you a little secret. Okay. We need to go over half of this again, right? This half has this humongous seam allowance right here. I don't want to go over that seam allowance again. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come this way this time. I'm just going to go back over what I just stitched. And you know what? It won't matter. If it means that we've got 2 double stitches, one right next to another, I'm not going to get excited about it. Will it be noticeable? Yeah, it's going to be a little noticeable, especially if somebody's actually looking for it. But if nobody's looking for it, I don't think it's going to be that drastic. Ken says if they say anything, tell them buzz off. You see why I like being married to him? Oh, he is so good at just telling it the way it is, eh? Okay, so we're going to take this 4.5. Well, let's take this guy again. This is going to be our edge connector 1. And this time I'm going to take the A side. It's not going to be as noticeable, but there will be a little bit of a shape to this line. And again, we can flip it, but I'm not going to this time. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a smaller star to finish off the top here. They don't have to be all the same size. and take that one stitch in place. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to let our foot ride on here because it is a big seam allowance. Now, if you remember the other night, we had we were doing the mini spin effects. And one of the things that I really wanted you to come away with from that was with the smaller templates, we take smaller stitches. It takes us a little more time, but that's okay. What it does is it keeps everything in perspective. All right, here we go. So this is another way that we can do the same thing, except maybe have it look a little bit more interesting or use it as a border. And here we go. I'm going to show this all to you. What do you think? Do you guys like this? Hey, Suzanne. Donna finds Donna's here a little late. That's okay. And she finds this really interesting. Well, it is interesting and it is fun. When I am doing a particular template, I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, what can I add to that? What can I add to it? What can I do to make it different? How can I do it outside of the box? That's just me. And that's sad for my husband. But I have fun with it, and I could sit and do this all night
I
long.
can't see the star.
Oh, Ken said he couldn't see the small star. There it is, honey.
The backside,
Yeah, I am on the backside.
wrong side. There.
This is the wrong side, yeah. See how I did just that? Just that little curved line? It's nowhere near as pronounced as this one. And I think it works with just a single line being less pronounced. This one was almost calling for the second one to be added in. But this is just kind of a little, now you can do this too. Let's do it. Let's do it. Because I was thinking about a little girl's quilt because we are going to have a great granddaughter. And I'm going to tell you something. There's been a lot of boys in this family, but not many girls. Well, this is the second one. We had one granddaughter out of all the grandkids, and now we're going to have a great granddaughter. So, needless to say, those girls get a little spoiled, but that's okay. I don't mind. And I hope they don't mind. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a mini spin effects and I'm going to use the number 13 because it's cute. Oh, this is the one that kept falling out on me the other night. Okay, you know what? I'm going to get some real tape on there right now. Linda, I agree with you. She said, "Oh, well, Linda, hi. I didn't see you come in. You got me." Oh, Nancy has three granddaughters and one grandson. I would love that. Linda says, "I think either pattern would make beautiful borders." And you know what? You're absolutely right. We don't just have to use these as an edge to edge design. We can use them in borders, we can use them in sashing, and we can get as complicated as we like or keep it simple. Hmm?
Keep it simple, silly.
Ken says, keep it simple, silly. I'm constantly trying to make things more difficult than they need to be. What can I say? It's in my nature. Okay, here we go. I want it on the right side, not the wrong side. All right. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to where I have my little crosshair drawn. And I am going to, you don't need to draw an 8-point crosshair to make 8 points, guys. I'm going to do the smallest one. It's because I can, hey? I'm going to bring that up. There we go. There. Okay, so I'm going to do my 4 reference lines first. Okay, I need to push my foot down a little bit there. And you want to take your time, especially when you're using the mini crosshair rollers. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to turn it around. I got my thread out of there. And we're going to do our second rotation. You can see how small I'm making those stitches. And I'm making them that small to keep them in sync with the size of the design, which of course is extremely small. It's a 1.5-inch design. Okay, here we go. Oh, that feels so much better to get all that junk off my table. Take this one extra stitch up here because we have a point that we're turning. Okay, one more this way. Okay. I love this one. When you flip it over, it looks like lobster claws. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I'm going to do it on this side so you can see. Now what I am doing is I am imagining where exactly that 45-degree line is coming from. And it looks like that's the spot. So let's see how close I got to it, okay? And there we go. Back to center. Awesome. And we'll do a couple more. Okay. I got to turn. There we go. All right. I literally, it's getting just dark enough that I could not see where I was in there. And back to center.
That's what I'm doing.
I think Pen is going to leave us. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's a good thing to buy. He's looking at buying something here for our great granddaughter. Yeah, that's a good one. And we've got one more. Whoops. Oh, go. And my foot came loose again. And we are back. Okay. We've gotten our whole little miniature flower stitched in there. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my A. I'm going to go right through the flower petal. It's okay. We're allowed. There's no law that says we can't. All right. And we're going to come down. Now, because I'm using a miniature crosshair, I'm going to keep these lines between the motifs stitched with really small stitches as well. Okay, and there we go. Now, I'm not going to make you sit and go through the whole thing again. I'm going to go ahead and put the big one on now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the big one on so that this line that we drew to connect the motifs right here, this line that we stitched, is actually going to come up on the flower petal. So it's going to be, it can be anywhere. It could be right on the point here, and it can be moved over, but I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it right on the point. And we're going to come back up. And now I'm going to end up at the top. I'm going to come back down here. And it will,
4 or 5 mega ones
oh,
in that registry.
okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to the side. Now this time I don't need to do a rotation and a half. I just need to do one single round. And you'll see I'm using the 2.5 inch this time as opposed to the 1.5 inch. I'm going to come this way. I'm lining up my horizontal center. It would be horizontal if we were this way, but I'm lining it up on the vertical center of my template, of my fabric. I'm sorry. There we go. And we're going to do one more. Now, whoa, I didn't have my needle in. Okay, there we go. Now it's in. So now what I can do, I'm going to go ahead and put this there. I'm going to take my 6.5 inch spiral, okay? And I'm going to come way down here. There we go. Now we're going to pretend it's late. I've been stitching all day. I want to get this border done. So what I'm going to do is stitch on my 6 inch spiral and come this way. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it the opposite way. And this is going to bring me all the way down here. And what's neat about this is that it's not going to break that line at all. It's going to be an absolutely perfect transition from one way to the other. And here we go. And we're going to stop right there. And I'm going to put my needle down. And now I can take my Spinifex, put it back in. I'll use the small one this time. And that's going to be the very top of my petal. And well, we don't have to make it the top. Let's not. Let's go ahead and make it come into the center. Take that one stitch up at the top. Okay, now I'm going to turn it directly across. I can't see it real well, but I don't want to keep flipping the fabric for you. And down, we're going to come back to the center. I'm only doing 4 rotations on this, so you don't have to sit and watch me stitch the same thing over and over and over again. And I may not have them lined up perfectly, but you know what? If I don't, it's okay. Like Ken says, buzz off if you don't like it, right? Okay, one more here. And there we go. Now let's see how we're doing, guys. Okay, you see how this is off center? I did that on purpose. I wanted it that way. I think it adds a little interest. I'm going to take these templates here and put them in my template stand. And let's turn it over. We're going to cut this bobbin thread and let's take a good look at it and see what we've come up with. Here is that 6-inch spiral. And we did half of it this way. Get it out. Half of it this way. Then we flipped it over and did half this way. That is a beautiful S-curve or serpentine line, whichever you want to call it. And you can do it with your 12-inch. You can do it with your 4-inch. You can do it with any size arc that you want. I said, okay, I'm tired. I don't want to keep doing these little flowers. So what I did here was I just extended the space between them. The other thing I wanted to show you, on this one, we came right out of the center and went around. On this one, we actually rode the back of the petal up a little bit. And on this one, we actually had it come over the top of the petal. This again would be really cool for template. Now, the way that I would template this probably is going to be a little unexpected. I would template one side of it and have the second layer show, but leave the petals the top layer of fabric. On this side, I would leave the second layer of fabric and just template these petals. And that is just, I think that would make a really cool border if it was a big border like this, and just go ahead and do a negative and a positive on each side. I really think it would be so cool, don't you think? Okay, let's see who's here. Um, all right. Oh, Janice, hi. Nice to see you. Aha. Rita says, I like what Rita's saying, how wonderful that we are seeing the next generation arrive. I got a baby quilt to finish now, and I know his name. I know, isn't that something, Rita? These kids, they know what baby, they know the sex of the child long before the baby is born, have names picked out and everything else. We had to guess. Oh, we had to guess. And Rita, at least you're getting to see the next generation. I only have one granddaughter and she's 6.5 years old. Linda, you're going to be around. You'll be around for the next generation. Okay. Hi, Cynthia says loves it. Quick and easy. Isabel, hi, she's late, but she'll watch later. And that is great news, Rita. It really is. Okay. The 6-inch spiral, Linda said, makes it look very graceful. And you know what? It really does, doesn't it? It's light and it goes easily along. Yeah. Okay. Let's see where we are. Everybody talking about babies. Oh, India has one who will be born in the next few hours. Oh, congratulations, Lindia. That's great. And Rita, oh, hi, Pam. Ellen is here from Delaware. And how did she miss this? I don't know. Deb Harris is here. So glad she found us practicing my free motion quilting with the Westerly rulers. And I'm glad you said that, Deb, because a lot of times we don't realize this is guided free motion that we're doing. Rita's great grandson arrived yesterday. Isn't that amazing? Congratulations. I think that is great. I was blessed to know my great grandmother. So I know how important that is. Sadly, our generations were chopped up because I did not know my grandmother. So let's take a look real quick at the other two designs or that are in the border, and that is the oval and the pointed oval. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Look at that. I've got just the right amount of lines drawn here. Now, what is good to see is that these are symmetrical. You only need stable tape on one side. Remember that we went through that a couple of times now. If the template is symmetrical, you should only need stable tape on one side. If it's asymmetrical, you're going to want it on both sides. So here we go. We're going to put this first little guy right at the bottom here. Okay. I like this one. I think this one is pretty. I will tell you that the curved diamond is still my favorite if I were to have a favorite, but I'm not allowed to have favorites. So here we go. We're going to take that stitch in place. Oops, I got. And here I already have hit that big seam allowance. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off just to get it out of the way. And I'm making sure that my template doesn't move as I'm cutting those threads off. There we go. Now I'm also going to lift my foot. I'm going to just hand wheel it up on this one. And the reason I'm doing that is because that is an exceedingly large seam allowance we're coming up on. So when they're that big, I kind of like to just hand wheel them over that huge portion of it. Okay, we can go ahead and drop our foot a little bit here. I'm going to take some more stitches. I'm going to go nice and slow. There we go.
Out of frame.
Oh, I'm almost out of frame. Thank you for letting me know that. There we go. Okay, and now we're coming down on off of those seam allowances on the right side. However, I am still going to, I have a choice here to make. Do I want to come up over this heavy one again, or do I want to come up to the right? I'm going to come up to the right, okay? Remember that once we get that first line of stitching, it is going to compress things a little bit, which means it's going to be easier on the seam allowances. Some seam allowances, however, like this one, are so big that we just want to avoid them if we can. Okay, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just avoiding it. So now I'm going to come up, I'm just going to come up 1 inch. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm making sure, back up here a little bit. There we go. Making sure that I'm lined up here. And you see, it doesn't matter where I am in here. I know that this is a 1/2 inch and this is a 1/2 inch. So I will just go ahead and stitch straight up and I will hit that 1 inch mark. Now I'm going to exchange with my oval. And this is one I should not have to worry about seam allowances. All the way around. The oval's pretty. We're going to go another halfway. All the way. There we go. I do keep my stitches. I've got my stitches just a little bit shorter. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come up 1 inch again, and I can line it up on any one of these, knowing that each is a 1/2 inch. And so we're going to come up 1 inch, and we're going to stop with our needle down. I'm going to take that one away, and we're going to put the curved oval in, and we're going to repeat. Okay, it's got to come this way. There we go. Oh, I got caught. And as soon as I get over this seam allowance, I'm going to make sure to set that foot again. There we go. And one more time, we're going to come around and up. And stop. Whoops, I gotta lift my needle up a little bit here. And we're gonna come up 1 inch. And we're going to put our regular oval in. And this will be the last one we'll stitch. Very smooth oval, very easy to use. All of these templates are easy to use. I love the fact that they are inside templates and we can mix and match them. And we can do different connectors if we want, but aren't they pretty? They really are. And put them like this so you guys can see more of them. There we go. So what we've done tonight, we have done a lot tonight. We really have. And I think it's been a ton of fun. I hope you think it's been a ton of fun. We have learned a few things. And we have learned that not only can our background fills be background fills, but they work great for borders too and the different things. And now you can put these together with no space in between them if you want, like we did here. And we use the edge to edge connectors to come up with some connectors here. And I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but you know it is. So, and look at, is that sweet? How sweet would that be on a border of a little girl's quilt? And it would be awesome to go ahead and template the background up here and template the petals down here. So there again is a whole lot. And the way that we stitched it tonight was on a regular piece, okay? And you know, that was asked for, and I think that's probably one of the smartest things that we have done is gone ahead and pulled out a real quilt piece to work on for you. So you can see that it's doable. It may take a little longer. We may need to slow down a little bit, but it is definitely doable. And our results are awesome. So there they are, guys. I so much appreciate you all being here. It's just so much fun to hang out with you. Hi, Maureen. Maureen will need to watch the beginning after it's finished. I get it. Oh, I'm so happy to see y'all here. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. We always like that. I also want to, and you're getting, I'm sure you're feeling like I'm a broken record, but I do want to remind you, in case someone has not heard about it yet, that Facebook will be deleting all videos that are 30 days old or older. However, we will be keeping them on our So Steady and on 906 Quilting YouTube channels. So until they tell us we have to start deleting them, they will be there. Tomorrow morning, what are we working on tomorrow morning? Oh, Spinifex feathers. That's going to be a fun one. So if you can, hi, Christina. If you can be here, we're going to be meeting at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Mountain time, 8 o'clock Central Time, and 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And that's in the morning. So I hope to see you there. And if not, I hope to see you soon. Until then, let's quilt.